client Liz is around 60 years old, and she presented in therapy with the specific goal of working on her phobia of driving over bridges and on the interstate. She had been in therapy for approximately 25 years. She'd had all sorts of different kinds of therapies, from traditional psychodynamic work to experiential therapies to Gestalt therapy to even hypnotherapy. And as she said, nothing touched it. So she had heard about AIT from a friend, and she came to my office specifically with the goal of working on this phobia of driving over bridges and on the interstate. She was skeptical at best because nothing had been helpful in the past. She was unable to identify any trigger or originating cause of why she developed this phobia, but it was causing a lot of distress for her in her life. And recently she had purchased a home that was about an hour-and-a-half drive away, and in order to go to the home, she would have to drive over several bridges, some very high bridges, and on the interstate. So she really wanted to be able to go whenever she wanted to her vacation home or weekend home, whenever she chose. So we began AIT by teaching her. I first taught her some techniques to calm her anxiety, and we did what's called the Covenant, which was a protocol in AIT that's designed to address underlying core beliefs that a person may hold that could be prohibitive to their healing. For her, what tested strong and needed to be treated were beliefs that she deserved to be healed and that it was possible for her to be healed. And also for her to instill the belief that she could bear and survive all the feelings related to the underlying causes of her phobias. We did the Covenant, and then through muscle testing, we learned that we needed to do something called the earliest originating trauma protocol. And with this, through muscle testing, we were able to determine the earliest causes of the underpinnings or originating traumas that were causing her phobia of driving over bridges and on the interstate in her life today. Specifically, she had traumas that she had taken in the womb related to absorbing her mother's anxiety and panic and fears. She had experienced some birth trauma, and she had had several traumas throughout her life related to physical abuse, and then with witnessing the death of someone when she was an adult. So the muscle testing indicated that we needed to begin with working on her traumas she had taken in while she was, or experienced while she was in the womb. We did those first and moved on to treating her birth traumas, and then from there we began working on her history of physical abuse. We treated the originating traumas, the initiating traumas, which were the current things that were causing distress in her life, like her inability to drive over distances and on the interstate and that kind of thing. And then we treated the connection between the two. Within 3 months, I received a text message from her that she had driven over a bridge that is a very high bridge in our area, and one that people who don't even have phobias are often really afraid to drive over. So she was quite proud of herself, and shortly thereafter, she was also driving on the interstate and living a much freer life. Over time, she began to notice occasionally she would have what she called a glitch. And when we would explore that further, it turned out that the glitch, and an example of the glitch was when she would be driving down the interstate, she would feel very anxious if there was merging traffic, merging from the right-hand side to her lane. We muscle tested about that and found out that that was actually a metaphor for the physical abuse that she'd experienced, and it related to this fear of being blindsided by the physical abuse. And often the abuse that she experienced it came at her from the right-hand side. So once we treated the underlying cause of being blindsided by the physical abuse, and then linking it to the current fear of traffic merging and being afraid she was going to be blindsided as she was driving, her discomfort and distress with driving in that scenario went away. And from both of our perspectives, it's been quite miraculous, and she's living a life that is, she's gained back her freedom and able to go to her weekend home now on her own, and she's doing quite well. I'm Catherine Varino, LCSW.